Hello. Welcome to day 4 of the Advanced Business English Idioms. I'm really excited to get started, and I want to jump straight into what we're going to be looking at today, which is idioms about teamwork. And in particular, we're going to talk about idioms about nautical or military um, idioms. So nautical means related to boats, military means related to the army. So it's about organization or working in teams. Let me share my screen with you, and I want to start with a quick question. What's the weather like where you are? Tell me in the comments if you're watching on the replay or watching live. Tell me what's the weather like where you are. Here it's cracking weather. That's UK slang for beautiful. We have a really rare sunny morning here in the UK. So we can say that it is cracking weather. It means it's really good weather. What is it like where you are? Okay, just a reminder, of course, you know what an idiom is. It's an expression that you cannot work out from the literal meaning. And just a reminder that idioms are frequently used by native speakers, and in the business context, they're frequently used in spoken English, but not in written English, because for business context, they would be far too informal. But they are very useful for spoken English. We are looking at these idioms today, all in the same boat, row in the same direction, hold the fort, hold the line, to run a tight ship, and all hands on deck. And there will be a really short quiz, just 2 questions, but I'll just take this time right now to remind you that there are bigger quizzes that are more interactive that will be placed into the free course that goes along with these lives. And I'll put the link in the description. It's part of my free resource library, and there you will find these slides so that you can review, as well as worksheets and quizzes and things like that. Okay, so we're going to start, as always, by looking at the idioms in context, and I would invite you to think, do you know this idiom? Have you heard it before? Or can you start to get a feel for it from the context? Okay. The team at Innotech found themselves all in the same boat, feeling the pressure as they faced an unexpected surge in demand for their trailblazing product. Okay, a surge in demand means a big increase in demand. And then yesterday we talked about trailblazing, which means innovative or new in an exciting way. They knew that with deadlines approaching, they needed to row in the same direction to meet their customers' needs. It was an all hands on deck situation. Even the general manager, Martha, cancelled her business trip to hold the fort in the sales office while her team worked hard to help the warehouse package orders. Despite the pressure, the team remained committed to holding the line on quality. By running a tight ship and sticking to their standards, they managed to handle the crisis. Okay, so the team has suddenly had a big increase in customer orders. Everybody has to help get those orders out, but without anything being a lesser quality than normal. We will read the same extract at the end, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of all of those idioms that are in there. As always, I would just remind you that it's not common to have so many idioms in one place, and not for written English. So this was just to give you a bit of a feel for them, a bit of context. Okay, we're going to start with all in the same boat. None of our computers are working. All the departments are in the same boat. We're all in the same boat as far as dealing with the pandemic. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of context. Have a think about, what does that mean to be in the same boat? It means to be in the same unpleasant or challenging situation as others. So it is not a good thing. It's not a pleasant thing. It's a negative thing. There's this terrible thing going on, and everybody is experiencing it at the same time. So we can talk about sharing the same fate, or facing the same challenges, or being in the same situation. And we can say we are all in the same boat as each other, or in this company, we are all in the same boat as they are in that company. Um, One thing I will point out is this was used extensively in the UK. It was one of the most common phrases used during the pandemic, and there was a big backlash, like a negative reaction to it, because in the context of the pandemic, we were not all in the same boat in the UK or globally. It was very different situations for everyone. Like if you look at the picture with the people in the red boat, that's a very different situation from the people in the other one. I mean, that's literal. But I think, yeah, it's worth pointing out that that phrase was overused during the pandemic, and many people pointed out, hey, hang on a second, we're not in the same boat. Some people still have their jobs, some people don't have their jobs, some people are healthy, some people are struggling. So, yeah, there was a lot of backlash to that phrase, and here in the UK, when we talk about all in the same boat, we think about the pandemic. Anyway, here is a prompt for you, and I would love for you to practice on your own, or ideally in the comments, share it. I'll come back and have a look at them after the live. So, describe a group of fictional characters who were in the same boat as each other. So, when we think about a novel or a movie, and can you describe what negative situation they were going through? So, for example, in the movie Jurassic Park, a group of scientists were all in the same boat because they went where the dinosaurs were. Okay, moving on, we're going to look at hold the fort. While the manager was away, the team lead had to hold the fort and oversee daily operations at the office. We need someone reliable to hold the fort while we're out of town for the conference. Okay, a fort literally means a military base that protected an area. So it would be somewhere that would always have to have someone operating there to do the protecting. So it couldn't ever be left empty. There always had to be somebody there. And if you were holding the fort, it means you are taking responsibility for being that someone who's there doing everything. So it means to take responsibility for maintaining order or control or stability in a situation or location where others are absent or unavailable. So we can use it in a business context, like, oh my goodness, we are without people to answer the phones. Can you hold the fort while I'm away and do that for me? Or we can talk about it in a personal context as well. Oh, my husband needs to go away to work this weekend. I'm left with the kids holding the fort. So if you're holding the fort, you're taking responsibility on your own because other people are not, they are not available. So we can talk about maintaining control, keeping things running smoothly. That's a good collocation. Running smoothly, operating in a good way, or about managing the managing affairs. So hold the fort while, to be left to hold the fort, or hold down the fort is the same thing. It's the same meaning. So don't worry, I'll hold down the fort. It's exactly the same. Okay, have you ever been asked to hold the fort? How did you handle the responsibility? Tell me in the comments. Practice using the idioms. I would love to know. This one, not hold the fort, but hold the line. The coach urged the team to hold the line and not concede any more goals. To concede a goal means to allow it. So he's saying, come on, don't let the other team score any more goals. Hold the line. During negotiations, the team held the line on their demands for fair wages. Okay, so what do you think that means to hold the line? To maintain a position, stance, or course of action despite pressure, opposition, or difficulties. So in the picture there, the woman is holding the line on her belief that she doesn't want any sugar or cake. Goodness, I would have difficulty holding the line there. That looks like quite delicious cake. I think I would say yes to that. I would not be able to hold the line. So if you are holding the line, you are standing firm, you are remaining steadfast, and you're keeping one's ground. Remain steadfast. There's a good phrase. I am remaining steadfast in my belief that I don't want to eat sugar. Not something perhaps I would say. I would be not remaining steadfast. I would be not holding the line. Anyway, hold the line against or hold the line on. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'd love if you go ahead and practice with this. Can you recall, as in remember or think about, can you recall a time when holding the line led to a positive outcome or achievement? So if we're talking about a professional context, that might be something like, um, even though I was uh, very, very busy, I held the line on maintaining standards. Or the workers negotiated with management and they held the line that they needed a wage increase. So to hold steady to an opinion or a belief or uh, something that you want to happen. So maintain a position, stance, or course of action despite pressure. And when you finish watching, I really recommend you look for the song Hold the Line by Toto and look in YouTube, Hold the Line by Toto, and look for the ones that have lyrics. I will put a link in the description actually, and then you can hear this song. Apologies if you've already heard it and you enjoy it, because now you're always going to focus on those few words. But in that song, he says, hold the line, love, hold the line, love isn't always on time. um, and he's talking in that situation about to his partner or the person that he's interested and saying, you know, hang on, stay true to the belief that our relationship is a good one. Hold the line. Um, if I remember correctly, but it's talking about hold the line, hold that belief. So yeah, look up that song. It's a good song. Row in the same direction. Let's look at that one. Okay, it's important for classmates to row in the same direction when working on group projects. The kids in the family were always arguing about chores until they made a chore list that helped them row in the same direction and support each other. A chore list, or rather a chore is a job that you have to do in the house. So domestic labor that you need to do. It could be something like, oh, I need to vacuum the floor or wash the dishes or take the rubbish out, or the trash, as they would say in America, in the United States. Um, so they were always arguing about who should do these jobs until they made a list of which job belonged to which person, and that helped them row in the same direction. It means working together towards the same goal. So just like in that picture, they are literally rowing in the same direction. It moves the boat forward, it creates progress. So we can talk about working in harmony, collaborating closely, cooperating effectively, working well together, row in the same direction on a task or toward a task or as a team. Can you share an example where everyone rowing in the same direction contributed to the success of a project? Have a think about that. I experienced everyone rowing in the same direction when we all put aside our differences, stopped arguing, and worked together on the new design. So have a think of a time where rowing in the same direction made it more successful. Okay, to run a tight ship. I forgot to put in two here. I've just got one. I hope the rest of the slides are finished. That would not be good. And it's kind of ironic because in this slide, I have not run a tight ship in preparing them. Okay, let's look at the one that is there. The manager runs a tight ship at the restaurant, ensuring that orders are delivered promptly and customers are satisfied. So the manager's running a tight ship by getting things done properly. I have not run a tight ship by forgetting to put the second example in. So what do you think it means? Well, it means to manage something efficiently and effectively, ensuring that everything is well organized and runs smoothly. That's very ironic. I promise you that was not on purpose. But there you go. It's a good example. I am not running a tight ship with these slides because I forgot one of the examples. So running a tight ship means doing things smoothly and successfully and correctly. So we can talk about also keeping everything ship shape. That means exactly the same thing. So if I just go back to this slide and you look at all of those ropes, um, things on a ship can be really dangerous, and there's a lot of things to organize, and you can't kind of do it later. You can't say, oh yeah, we need to put the sails up, but we'll do it later. Or, oh, we need to organize those ropes so that they're available if we need them in a storm, and so that they're not, dangerous to us, but we'll do it later. You have to do it immediately, and you have to do it well. It has to be organized for everything to be safe and functioning. So if you're running a tight ship or keeping everything ship shape, you're keeping everything very organized and successful. So you're managing things efficiently, keeping things under control, maintaining order. So we can talk about to run or keep or operate or maintain a tight ship. So this is particularly used in business. Um, the accounts department uh, runs a tight ship and they always want to see the budgets. So in business, things need to be organized for them to be successful. So it's a good idiom for that, expressing that organization. Okay, here's a question for you. Why is it important for leaders to run a tight ship? Have a think about that, and I would love to see your example in the comments section. If you would like to go ahead and try and use that, even if you do it after the live, come back, go through some of the slides that were really new to you, pause on this section, and go ahead and put it in the comment section, and I will come back and reply to it. Or those of you that are here live, thank you for being here. If you want to have a go, I would really welcome that. And if you're here live or even on the replay, tell me where you're listening in from. I always love to hear that as well. Okay, moving on. All hands on deck. So the deck of a boat, you can see there in the example, and a hand. Well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. We'll read the examples first. Okay. The deadline is tomorrow and we aren't yet ready, so all hands on deck today, please. We've just received 300 more orders than usual, so it's an all hands on deck situation to get those orders out. Okay. A deckhand is somebody who works on a boat. So in this situation, a hand is a worker, not like a physical hand. If you are asking for all hands on deck, then it means that everyone is needed to help with a task or situation, usually because it's urgent or challenging. So I don't work in a hospital, obviously, but from hospital dramas that I've seen, it seems like sometimes they have all hands on deck situations where a big team is required to respond to the emergency. And so that's a good example where everyone needs to pitch in everyone is needed, full participation is required, or teamwork is required. So it's such a big crisis that lots of people are needed to respond. So we can talk about all hands on deck for this crisis, or over this issue, or until this is resolved. And so it's good for business, often used in situations where everyone is required and people asked to do things that they're normally not asked to do. So I know you don't normally work in the warehouse, but this is an all hands on deck situation. Can you leave your desk and can you join in and help? You're asked to do something that perhaps maybe you wouldn't be normally, because it's an urgent situation where a lot of people are needed. Okay, describe a movie where a team had a situation that required all hands on deck. Um, I can't think of one right now, but if you can think of one, share it in the comments. Practice using the idiom. That would be amazing. Okay, that's all of them. We're going to go through the little extract, and hopefully it will make more sense to you now that you have more familiarity with the idioms. Okay, the team at Innotech found themselves all in the same boat. So they were in the same negative situation, feeling the pressure as they faced an unexpected surge in demand for their trailblazing product. They knew that with deadlines approaching, they needed to row in the same direction, so work together, to meet their customers' needs. It was an all hands on deck situation. It was a situation where everyone's required to help. Even the general manager, Martha, cancelled her business trip to hold the fort, so to take responsibility on her own, in the sales office while her team worked hard to help the warehouse package orders. Despite the pressure, the team remained committed to holding the line, so holding the line on quality. By running a tight ship, by being organized, and sticking to their standards, they managed to handle the crisis. Okay, hopefully it made more sense the second time that you heard that. We're going to move on to a really short quiz, and I would love if you could put your answer in the comment section. What do you think would be the correct response? So number 1, which idiom emphasizes the importance of everyone contributing to a task or project? A, row in the same direction. B, hold the line. Or C, all in the same boat. Or D, to run a tight ship. Which one do you think? And then number 2, during a crisis, a leader may need to call something to address the situation. Okay, do they call A, to hold the fort, B, to run a tight ship, C, all in the same boat, or D, all hands on deck? Okay, have a think about that. And I have a comment here that I'm going to bring up. It says, hi, I heard the idiom to run a tight ship a few days ago on the news. They used it to refer to the UK. Ah, thank you for sharing that. That's a great example. Thank you for being here too. I appreciate that. Um, and that does actually remind me that it is really useful to spot, as in notice, to look for the idioms in real life and look for the context. And when you hear those idioms in context, to take a pause and look them up and write them down, because it's always way more exciting when it's in real life and you can kind of notice it and say, that's an interesting one. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Apologies, I can't pronounce your name, but I appreciate you sharing that comment. Thank you. Okay, so the answers. Which idiom emphasizes the importance of everyone contributing to a task or a project? A, row in the same direction, because it's not just about agreement, it's about everybody contributing positively in the same way on the same thing. And then during a crisis may need to call all hands on deck. to address the situation. How did you do? I see that some of you got number 2D. I love it. Oh, and Vitali. Okay. Welcome, Vitali, and thanks again for your comment. Okay, it just remains for me to remind you that there are micro listening tasks that are available, and I'm going to do what I've done on the other days and just quickly explain. You use the method of repetition, you listen to the task, the listening, you try to write it down, and you really consolidate your understanding of kind of realistic spoken English. And then you can check yourself to see if you got it correct using the transcript. So I'm going to let you listen to the listening. It's a really micro listening, a very short one.
I'm leaving to my meeting. Can you take charge?
Absolutely. Any pressing tasks?
Can you make sure we receive that delivery we're waiting on?
Sure thing.
Thanks. I'll be back in about half an hour.
Take your time. I'll hold down the fort here.
So it used one of the idioms, I'll hold down the fort here. You can get access to that micro listening and indeed these slides and worksheets and all kinds of extras through my free resource library. The link is in the description. Thank you for being here live. It was so fun to see you folks here. And thank you to those of you who who will watch on the replay. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.